All right. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to New Jersey Secure Choice Retirement Act. I'm Wayne Staub, and I have the pleasure of being the Chief Business Relations Officer for NJBIA. And with us today is James O'Donoghue from BCG Securities. Before I introduce James, I do want to thank our partners today for making this available, and that is NJM Insurance and Integris Group. Without them, we couldn't do a lot of what we do without our partners. So let me introduce James. James is a financial advisor with a focus on retirement plan consulting. He helps small to mid-sized initiate, review, and manage their retirement plans. He focuses on 401k, 403b, simple IRA, and payroll deduct IRA plans, and specializing in the multiple employer plan, the MEP, the EANJ Retirement Advantage Program, assisting the Employers Association of New Jersey members and NJBIA members. Just a few housekeeping matters before we get started. Today's webinar is also being recorded and you will be emailed either today or tomorrow the PowerPoint for today's presentation. So be on the lookout for that. If you can't wait and you can't download them right now from the handouts the handouts tab, but we will be able to get that to you tomorrow. I'd also like to draw your attention to the questions tab. James would be happy to take your questions at the end, so get them in as they come up to you via the question chat box. If you have trouble viewing or hearing during this presentation, don't forget you will automatically be receiving a recording within 48 hours. So if you have to sign out and watch the recording, you won't miss a thing. But with that said, now I'd like to turn it over to our partner, my colleague and friend, James. Why don't you take us away?
Thank you very much, Wayne, for that nice introduction. Yes, so my name is James O'Donoghue. I'm a fiduciary financial advisor. I'm a financial advisor listed on the majority of the multiple employer plan and the overall MEP, as we call it, for EANJ and NJBIA. Now, that's special because only 2% of 401k plans have a fiduciary advisor attached to them. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go through the program. But I'll highlight for you the New Jersey Secure Choice Act and the law that's coming into place at the end of the month, what it means for you, the options that you have, the time frame that you have to implement it, the penalties if you don't, and any other questions that you have, please feel free to answer. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. I'm going to walk through this New Jersey Secure Choice retirement program. So 2 years ago, legislation was signed to move forward or push through this New Jersey Secure Choice law. Now, because of COVID, the deadline was March 28th, 2021. They pushed it back a year. So the deadline is now March 28th, 2022. So that's in a few short weeks. All right. That's the date that the program starts and that the New Jersey Small Business Retirement Marketplace Act goes into effect. So what does that mean? That means that they want every employer who has 25 employees plus during the past calendar year. Now that's 25 employees that you sent a W-2 to, right? So part-time, full-time, if you sent 25 or more W-2s out last year, you'll be required to have a retirement plan, okay? If you already offer a retirement plan, great, this doesn't affect you. But if you do not, and you have more than 25 employees, you do have to offer a program. You have to be in business for at least 2 years. And again, if you already offer a retirement program, you're not subject to this law or the penalties associated with not offering a program. Okay, that doesn't mean you still shouldn't consider the NJBIA offering. It's probably the best retirement program option in the state. And, I'll touch on that later just to show you the benefits if you already do have an existing plan of taking a look at what NJBIA partnership has to offer you. I did mention there were penalties if you do not offer any type of retirement plan and you do not have an option for your employees come the deadline. I do want to point out, okay, and this comes up all the time. The deadline is March 28th. Okay, there is also a 9-month buffer period or grace period in which you have to start a retirement plan. Okay, and if you don't, the New Jersey is going to push you into their program. And if you don't sign up for the New Jersey state program, you will be penalized as a company. So the penalty is $100 per employee, which gradually increases up to $500 an employee over 5 years as a penalty for not offering a plan. So they really want to make sure that every company is offering a retirement plan, or at least an option for your employees to save for retirement while working at your company. Now, New Jersey is not the first state to implement this. This is out west in Washington, California, Oregon, Massachusetts, New York. Other states have these laws in place as well. And the main point is to allow access for your employees to have more retirement savings options through their employer. Okay. I'll also say that those states started out with a variety of minimum employee requirements, 50 out west, 25 in New York. And every year or two, they decrease the amount of employees that you have to require to offer a retirement plan. So I would not be surprised if in a year or two, they reduce that 25 employee number down to 15. So if you're right on the cusp and you're not sure and you have 22 or 23 employees, you are not required to offer a plan. But keep in mind, most likely you will in the next year or two. Okay. So what are your options? What are your options? You had more than 25 employees. You don't offer a retirement program yet. You don't want to be subject to those penalties. And you recognize that, you really should offer some type of retirement plan at this point for your employees. So you'll have access to the New Jersey-based retirement plan. There's really no specific guidelines on investment options or the fees that they're going to charge. I do know that the way the language is currently written, that once you join the New Jersey plan, all of your employees will be automatically enrolled into it. And 3% of their pay will automatically be taken out and deposited into their retirement accounts, their IRAs. Okay, that's the way the New Jersey law is currently set up. You do have another option. You can start your own 401k plan or 403b plan if you're a nonprofit. So you can go through Fidelity, Principal, Transamerica. A lot of different companies offer 401k plans. And finally, you can take advantage of the NJBIA retirement program. So it's similar to offering those 401k plans through those other firms, except you get significant discounts on pricing and reduce your liability to run a plan, and really take the majority of the work with running a 401k plan off of your plate and reducing the cost significantly. And I'll touch on that in a little bit more detail. One thing that's important to note, right? The state and the federal government doesn't just drop this out of nowhere. For the past several years, they've recognized that there is a retirement savings crisis in this country. People do not have nearly enough money for retirement. They just don't. If you look at the average retirement savings of a 50 or 60-year-old in this country, it's not enough to replicate one full year of retirement for them. So slowly, they've been adding more and more tax breaks for offering retirement plans. Right? So if you did went forward and wanted to start a 401k plan, you can receive tax credits up to $5,000. Now, this is pulled directly from the IRS website, which I have listed at the bottom of this page. And it will tell you exactly how much you can save by starting a retirement account. Now, these aren't deductions, right? This isn't a business deduction. These are full federal tax credits. So that money that you spend to start a plan, the $500 is refunded right back to you. And for most startup plans, and for most companies on this meeting, I assume, which is north of around those 25 employees or north, this essentially covers the full cost of running a retirement plan for you for the first 2 to 3 years. Okay. And after that, of course, the costs are deductible. So I did want to point out, they're encouraging you so strongly that they're essentially offsetting or paying for the cost for you to run a retirement plan for the first few years. I'll walk through the New Jersey NJBIA retirement program, but I'm sure a lot of you know. I mean, numbers came out this morning, right? The U.S. added 670 plus thousand jobs. The unemployment rate is 3.8%. It got knocked down to. And I don't have to tell you, right? You guys are in this world. You do it every day. It is very hard and becoming harder to find good quality employees that want to work and that will come work for your business. So we're in the point right now where the employee and the job hunter has a lot more power, probably more than they've had in decades. And offering a retirement benefit is just going to give you another option or another piece of the puzzle to encourage your employees to come work for you. And in my experience, I have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of employees participating in this program. Okay, and it's honestly the younger employees who are now demanding that they are offered a retirement program. So before I get into what the NJBIA plan can offer, I just wanted to highlight, as you're aware and you're joining this webinar, you know the power and the importance of offering some type of retirement program. And NJBIA recognized that. And they recognize that smaller companies are at a drastic disadvantage when trying to start a retirement plan. They don't have finance departments for the most part. They don't have CFOs who are willing to take on the fiduciary responsibility of running a plan. They're not sure where to start. They're not sure how their payroll would work. So they partnered with the Employers Association of New Jersey and Benefit Consultants Group to create this multiple employer plan. All right. And this really takes over and satisfies a lot of the questions and the issues that small companies have when running a plan. All right. You can fully customize your 401k plan, and it would be your own personal 401k plan to however you like. All right. So what is a multiple employer plan? Essentially, we created what we feel is the best or perfect 401k plan, right? We have the best investment options. We choose it at the lowest possible cost. We take on as much of the financial fiduciary responsibility as possible. And we eliminate a lot of the work it takes to run a plan. Okay, so every plan files 5,500 tax documents at the end of the year. We eliminate that need. You're required to buy Fidelity bond insurance. It's a few $100 a year. We eliminate that. Smaller companies generally have to pay a lot more money for investment options for their employees because they don't have enough assets in there to qualify as an institutional investor. But because you're partnered with all of these other companies, you're qualified right off the bat, immediately, even when you have no dollars in your 401k. So this drastically reduces the cost to run a plan. And also, for any of those larger companies out there, near 100 employees or more, it eliminates the cost of the annual audit that you'd have to do, which runs north of $12,000 a year. So drastic financial savings by becoming a part of this multiple employer plan, which you're already entitled to do as an NJBIA member. Okay, so for everyone here, you have access to this program already. I have the plans currently in the program. We're not NJBIA or EANJ members. They wanted the plan and they joined just to have access to this benefit. So this is a huge new benefit offered by NJBIA, and the timing is perfect when you consider that it's going to be required by every plan to offer a retirement account. So just to touch base on the fiduciary responsibilities that this covers, there are two types of fiduciary coverage. One is administrative, which is the notices, the filings, the tax filings, a lot of the day-to-day tasks with running a plan. And the other is on the investment side. So making sure that you're offering the best funds at the lowest possible cost, that there's no revenue sharing and profit sharing on those funds, that there's no commissions being charged, that if a new fund share class comes out that's less expensive, you have to make sure you're offering it to your employee, to exchanging funds if certain funds are not performing as well. So all of those fiduciary responsibilities that are typically on the employer are passed off to NJBIA and the MEP team. And the 316 fiduciary, this is administrative, right? Transaction processing, loans, distributions, notices, and it allows you to just continue to focus on your business and not have to worry about getting all these filings done on time. and I touched on the investment options. So there are 18,000 different mutual funds and exchange traded funds that you can offer in a retirement plan. For most small companies, going through and choosing which options to offer their employees is daunting, right? You want to make sure you're offering the best possible option at the lowest possible cost to your employee. But you also have to make sure that you're checking up on that every 3 months, every quarter, to make sure that they're continuing to outperform and continuing to be the best possible investment options for your employees. So that's all taken away from you, those responsibilities and those duties. Right? There's a quarterly board meeting. I'm a 338 investment fiduciary. We use a third-party company called Morningstar, which many folks have heard about. And we grade out those 18,000 different funds every quarter to make sure that the options that your employees have to save are the highest quality. Another major benefit, especially with smaller plans, right? Smaller companies who are just starting out, is employee education. I mean, it's huge. Companies that have a financial advisor attached, that have employee education, and not just a one-time meeting saying, okay, you have a 401k plan, here's what to do, but continually having that education and access and ability to offer financial planning services really drastically changes the amount of participation that you'll have with your employees, right? You want your employees to save. If you set up and offer this great benefit, you want your employees to take advantage of it. And the main way to do it is by having employee enrollment and education meetings. So the way it typically works is if you decided to start a plan, we would come out, myself and another financial advisor, and have group meetings with all of your employees, explaining here's the importance of a 401k. Here are the rules that your employer set in place of who's eligible. Is there going to be a match, a vesting schedule, however you want to set it up as a business owner. Help them get enrolled either on paper or online. We do it directly there in the meeting. We'll then hold one-on-one meetings with each individual employee if they choose to do so. And we can guide them and tell them exactly where they should be saving, how much they should be saving to get them on the right financial path. And financial planning is another huge benefit. We're a financial planning firm. We're all fiduciary advisors. We've been doing financial planning since 1958. The general cost of a financial plan ranges between $750 to $1,200. Part of the deal with NJBIA and EANJ, when they partnered with us to offer this retirement program, is that we will offer these financial planning services to the employees who participate in their 401k at no cost. So they will get the full financial planning process and benefit, and those employees would not have to pay for it. This is a massive benefit for your employees. It's not a benefit that they would see with any type of retirement account, I assure you, especially if with the state-run, IRA plans. Okay. So this is a massive benefit, and I really hope you understand and your employees take advantage of that. And we do have a lot of employees that do take advantage of that benefit. I'll touch base on the cost benefits specifically. So those plan audits I discussed, if you have over 100 employees, Fidelity bond insurance, a few $100 a year. You don't have to pay that. Lowest internal investment expenses available, meaning institutional share prices. So Vanguard funds, American funds, they all have a large schedule of the fees that they can charge, right? Generally, an institutional share price, you need at least $1 million in that fund to get the lowest cost. Every fund offered in the program is at that institutional share price. Very competitive administrative costs. They were negotiated down drastically because you're part of a multiple employer plan. A lot of the work it takes on the human resources side, the payroll side, gets taken away because, again, those notices and everything is dealt directly through the plan administrator. And then the plan costs, on average, there's a 401k average benchmark book that benchmarks plan costs. We're in the lowest 10 percentile in overall cost to run your plan. Okay, and that doesn't include the additional savings with the bond insurance and audit insurance. And it doesn't include all the additional benefits like having a fiduciary advisor on your plan, which less than 2% of 401ks have. It doesn't include the cost of financial planning services. This is just straight plan fees and expenses to run the 401k plan. I will touch on one other thing, right? The benefit of offering a 401k as opposed to an IRA, which is what the New Jersey Secure Choice Act is going to be implementing, is in a 401k, you can save up to $20,500 a year. And if you're over the age of 50, it's up to $27,000 now. Okay, that's a lot of money to stash away and to defer, not pay taxes on, right, as you're earning it. The IRA, you can only save $6,000 a year. So it's a massive benefit when comparing the two, the pros and cons. You can save, and your employees can save a lot more money when it comes to running a 401k plan. Cost comes up a lot. We're very transparent. So I'll walk through the basic example of the average 401k that we pulled from that average 401k book, and what the EANJ Retirement Advantage Program, which is the NJBIA program as well, and what the overall costs look like. So the startup cost is $500 as opposed to $1,500. Now, if you'll notice on that IRS website, you can deduct that. You'll get a credit, not even deduction. You'll get the $500 back from the IRS at the end of the year. This is with 120 participants. The cost is $10,200 a year. So the fee is $85 per eligible employee in the program. Advisory, fund fees, et cetera, again, lowest 10%, right? So this is the average costs. You're not paying audit fees, bond insurance, and then the amount of money you're saving on HR time by not having to do any of the filings or the processing, we estimated out about $800 a year. So you can see it's about half price for a company that's got $2 million in it with 120 participants. Now I'll focus on a startup plan. All right, say you have 25 participants. You're now subject to this law, right? You're subject to the Secure Choice Law. You have to put something in place, and you're looking at the different options that you have. So the average startup cost is $1,500. Administrative fee is $2,000 on average for 25 employees. Fund fees, advisory fees is $1,900, and this is assuming $100,000 in the account. So, usually by the end of the first year or two, that's the average balance in the plan. And again, opposed to the NJBIA plan and EANJ Retirement Advantage program, it's about half the cost. All right. I'm a chartered retirement plan specialist. I can offer every retirement plan option under the sun from any different company. And I do. I have plans with companies throughout the country who use Principal, American Funds, Transamerica, John Hancock, et cetera. But in New Jersey, almost all the plans I speak with, this is the route they choose because of the drastic cost savings and the very low fiduciary expenses when it comes to, running and managing a plan as a small business. Okay. So just to summarize what the NJBIA program looks like, you get elite fiduciary protection, best-in-class investment options, reduce a drastic cost savings. Now, for those of you that do have a plan, you can visit njbia.org. There's an e-booklet on there and all my information if you want to request. We can do, and this is the most common first step, we just do a simple side-by-side of cost comparisons. We rate the cost of the plan that you currently have, all the expenses that you're paying, versus if you move to the NJBIA program, what the costs would be. So you'll get that exact comparison that I showed you with the traditional, except I'll have your current plan, the NJBIA plan, and the savings or expense differences. If you're a startup plan, I really encourage you to reach out to me. We can take a look at all of your options, not just the EANJ NJBIA program. I'll explain the New Jersey Secure Choice option. I'll explain the payroll deduct IRAs. There's simple IRAs, which is what the New Jersey Secure Choice is looking to implement. And I can walk through exactly what you're looking for as a business and provide you the pros and cons of all of the different options that you have available to you to make sure that you're not starting to pay fines starting January of 2023. So we are at an interesting time where you do have to have a plan in place in New Jersey. It's been pushed back a year, and you're getting a 9-month buffer. But time is coming down that by March 28th, when this law goes into effect, you're going to start getting notices if you don't offer a 401k plan or any type of retirement plan for that matter. So I know, and I am already seeing it, all the 401k companies are starting to get wind of this, and it's getting very busy. And I will say, if you wait till the end of the year, till December to start a 401k plan, it's probably going to be too late. The average 401k plan takes 6 to 8 weeks to implement and get up and running. So I do encourage you to look at your options now. Provide this benefit for your employees. I mean, it's a great benefit, and yourselves. I mean, you'll be able to save significant amounts of capital for yourself and defer a lot of money into your own retirement program. So that's all I have on the New Jersey Secure Choice Act. It is still coming into effect March 28th. There has been no instruction by the state that they're deferring it another year. All they announce is that there will be a 9-month buffer period in which those companies have time to start and implement the plan. And I would expect to receive letters second half of this year if you don't have a plan in place, that penalties are going to start if you don't have anything by January 1st. So please use me as a resource. I am a chartered retirement plan specialist. There are not many of us throughout the country. I do work and partner with the NJBIA team and the EANJ team and their staff, and I help folks and companies throughout New Jersey set up and implement their 401k plans. We work for a company called Benefit Consultants Group. We're based in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. We've been around since 1958, and we were one of the first retirement plan providers in the United States. So this is all we do. We specialize at it, and I encourage anyone to reach out with questions that they have. And I know, we always have questions coming in. So I'll leave it at that and listen to any questions that anybody has.
Yeah, we do have some. And James, thank you so much. And I just want to say you did a great job of taking some of this complicated information and making it understandable. One first question that came up is you mentioned 401k and 403b in the handout, but not simple. Is that allowed?
Yeah, simple IRA or payroll deducted IRA or a less common SEP IRA would all qualify as long as they're employer sponsored as an employer sponsored plan. So you would not be subject to any penalties. That would satisfy your requirement under the New Jersey Secure Choice Act. So yes, simple IRA, SEP IRA, payroll deducted IRA, 401k, 403b, any employer-sponsored retirement plan would satisfy the requirement.
Great. And 2 quick points is, number one, NJBIA as a business utilizes this program, and it's been very good for us as from the business side, but also the meeting with James, individual meetings was beneficial to myself personally, and I know other colleagues who participated in those meetings. James hit on a key point. Like, we hear from our members every day, employees can't find employees. As James pointed out, this is a great way to help retain and attract those new employees that we're all going to be fighting over. I have a couple more questions, James, if you don't mind. Number one, first of all, it was great that you pointed it out in regards to the number of employees. It's really tied to the number of W-9s, right? So to your point, whether part-time, full-time, however number of W-9s you sent out, that's what counts towards that number, correct?
Yeah, the last calendar year. So I'm sure you can pull it up. In 2021, how many W-9s did you send out? If it's 25 or more, you're going to be subject to the Secure Choice Act.
Okay. And again, if you have 20 employees, and again, it goes back to the number of W-9s, you don't have to do anything right now.
Completely correct. You do not have to offer any type of retirement program under the Secure Choice Act. You still have the option to, of course, and many plans with 10 employees or less offer retirement plans. But you will not be penalized if you have less than 25 employees. That is correct, yes.
Right, currently, to your point, that's the current, and those numbers have gone down in states surrounding us, as far as
That's
number
correct.
of
Yeah, New
employees.
Jersey has not said that they're going to lower that number. I'm just using assumptions based on what every other state has done. They've started at a higher number and come down. But they have not announced anything, and I wouldn't expect it to be for at least another year, maybe two, if they did make that move.
Again, James, I know you did touch on this, but this did come up. When is the officially go into effect?
So the official start is March 28th, but they're giving you a 9-month grace period. So they're essentially saying by the start of 2023, January 1st, you should have a plan in place. And if you do start a plan, they will, and it's in the process of being started, that counts as well. So some plans will run into the first week of January. As long as you have a plan in place, or beginning to be implemented, you'll be in good shape.
So, how long does it take to implement the new plan?
It's a great question. So generally, we'll have a conversation. What are you looking for? Do you want a 401k or this or this? If you decide to go with this program, which I will say the majority of folks do, we walk through what's called an installation kit. And that's where me and you sit down or over Zoom or a phone call, walk through how you want your plan set up, right? These are specific plans to your business. So do you want to offer a matching component? What do you want your eligibility age to be? 18, 19, 21? How long do you want your employees to work there before they have access to the plan? 6 months, 1 year, all of those things. So I'll walk through that with you. It's not that complicated. I do dozens a month, so I have a good idea of what most companies want to do. Once we have that form, it generally takes about 6 weeks before your first payroll gets submitted for your employees. So usually 4 weeks to get all the paperwork set up, to get the plan in place, the filings, etc. And then myself and another advisor, perhaps, will come out and we'll schedule a time with you, usually 2 weeks or a week or two before the first payroll, where we would have that meeting with all of your employees. So, which is completely dependent on the company, right? Some companies want me there at 6 a.m. before their staff goes out to their locations or their trucks for the day. Some companies want me there at lunch where they can have everyone in the conference room. Some companies need me to do a group meeting in the morning and then a group meeting in the afternoon, depending on shift work. But we'll usually schedule a full day a week or two before the first payroll. So about a month after we fill out those forms. And then from that point, that's it. We'll set it up. We link it with your payroll. We have an installation team here that walks you through linking it for the first time. We do have payroll integration with many firms throughout New Jersey and the country. So just try to make it as easy as possible for you. But that's the general timeline of the rollout. It's usually about 6 weeks.
Okay, shameless plug here, James. We offer many other benefits, one of which is payroll deduction, and that is through Prime Point. And I know that Prime Point is one of the companies that you integrate with, correct?
That's right, yeah.
Oh, great. Hey, and you brought up another good question that has come across to me sometimes as I'm talking to members. Does this law require that the employer has to make a contribution to the 401k?
Good question. No, the employer does not have to match. They do not have to make a contribution. They only have to offer the option or the savings plan for their employees. You are not required to do any type of matching contribution. You certainly can. You don't have to. And the most common thing I've seen with especially these startup programs with these smaller companies is they're not sure if or how much they can set aside to match because they don't know what the participation is going to look like. And if COVID taught them anything, it's they can't count on what they're expecting to make this year to determine what they're going to have, right? So the most common matching contribution situation, I would say, that we do currently with these smaller companies is a discretionary matching program, which means they're not locking themselves into any guaranteed percentage match for their employees. Rather, at the end of the year, the company can say, okay, we had a great year. We have a little extra money. We want to add $10,000 and throw it into our employees' 401k plans. So they'll do a discretionary profit sharing plan back to their employees and retroactively match what they did the prior year. And then if the next year they don't have a great year and they can't afford to contribute to their employees' accounts, they don't have to. So it's a way to be flexible with your match. And for smaller companies, I know how important that can be, because you never know how the year is going to turn out, right?
And that's so true. If we've learned anything, as you mentioned, with our business as well, there's a lot of different needs, that individual needs that businesses have, and really like the many options that you guys offer, which makes it a lot easier for companies to find the product that's right for them.
Right.
So, just those are all the questions that have come up so far. I do want to just see if anybody has any last minute questions they want to shoot into the box here. But as we are wrapping up, I do want to mention that you will be receiving a recording of today's webinar and the PowerPoint slide via email. When you close out of the webinar, a survey will come up on your screen that we hope you will fill out. It does help us understand how to best provide this information to you in a webinar format. We have another webinar coming up on March 9th, and it's the COVID relief you can't afford to overlook, talking about some tax credits and different programs that can save you as a company real money. That should be an interesting one. So you can visit our website at njbia.org/webinars to register for that one. I've not seen any other questions come up. With that, again, I'm just going to say, James, thank you. Again, a great job of presenting information that, can be complicated and making it understandable. The employer part, the employee retaining, retracting employee, I'm glad you touched on that, because that's a big theme of what we're hearing from our members as well.
Right.
So with that said, till next time, from James from BCG Securities, I'm Wayne Staub from NJBIA, and we wish you a great day and a great weekend. And please contact us if you have any questions at all.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.